Picture this for a second. You live on a planet whose sole purpose is to raise the happiest beings in the universe in order to have those beings spread that very same happiness throughout the cosmos. You've lived here for years knowing this, and now it's finally your turn. And then you land on fucking Earth. Takopi has got to be one of the most intriguing characters that I've ever had the fortune of beholding, which, is mildly frustrating for me because he's the exact same kind of character which I usually have a very strong distaste for. You know what I mean, right? Those overly positive, guys, I think if we try hard enough, we can all be friends.
If either of us moves too much, we'll bleed out and die.
And yet, in this context, that same archetype fits so extremely well, because this time they're being thrown into a fight, one that they were never even meant to be exposed to, one that they never were exposed to. It's these encounters, these misfortunes that almost trick you into believing that this is some sort of coming-of-age story, when really, it's a story that shows the ever-evolving cycle of evil. If you haven't seen the first 2 episodes that have come out already for this, I would highly recommend watching those before listening to some random person's takopi glazing. Which, in its own right doesn't sound too good. I'm not out here glazing my takopi or anything. I just, I want to talk about someone else's takopi. Anyway, takopi is an enigma. I mean, as far as Shizuka knows, our second main protagonist. I guess we don't really know what's going on in her head like we do Big T, but she's literally there for most of the time. I'm just gonna call her our main character, alright? And good god, if she were a depresso espresso, she'd have the entire fucking coffee shop out of business. And rightfully so. You see, when we first meet Shizuka, you notice immediately that some things are just off. There's vandalism written all over her backpack, and perhaps most of all, she's alone. In the 4th grade at that, one of the easiest times to actually make friends, yet she has none and is even bullied by the peers that we do know of. Which is apparent to everyone except this little asshole. Takopi at this point is so innocent, he could make a World War II veteran forget how to operate an M1 Garand semi-automatic rifle. Man wouldn't even remember that guns are real with Takopi around. Takopi tries his best to cheer Shizuka up, even bringing out his very own happiness gadgets just to see her smile. But it's clear that she's just not feeling it. Then she leaves, and the cycle repeats. Shizuka comes by, perhaps even more distraught than the day before. They talk, he shows her a new gadget, she leaves. Again and again, until eventually something new happens. It's at this point where we meet a character that's most vital to Shizuka, and for the first time, both the viewer and Takopi finally see her smile. This is great. She's happy. Mission fulfilled, operation successful. It seems Takopi has finally learned a bit on what happiness truly is to people rather than through the lens of someone born and raised in innocence. Yep, things are finally starting to take a turn. Well, shit. Back again, collar in hand, but no Chappie to be seen. Once again, it's very clear that something terrible has happened to everyone but him. He asks why her face is colored, why she has his collar. To his knowledge, nothing bad has happened, except she does tell him one thing. How fortunate. He has just the right thing to fix that. An infinitely expanding ribbon that, when tied around the pinkies of 2 friends, allows them to make up with each other. It was perfect. It should have worked. It should have made her happy. Right?
wrong. Because happiness isn't so easy to understand. It's funny. I mean, not the human swing set, but Takopi's reaction. You see, he's so naive to the evil, to the sadness in the world that at first he didn't even recognize the very obvious life missing in front of him. And the way they portray this by never showing the entire picture is so perfect. Everything is so shielded from Takopi until it isn't. At first, he didn't understand. Why would someone ever take their own life? How could you be so unhappy? He tried to run away, but through his curiosity, his obligation, he had to know why. Why weren't you happy? So, he went to the only place he could. Back in time, baby. I know that sounds kind of random, but it was through the use of this camera gadget from before, if you remember that. I probably should have gone over that better, but to be fair, it was kind of revealed in the same manner for the anime. It basically has this special ability to go back in time to when a certain photo was taken from it. Pretty cool. Pretty convenient too, I might add. So, we go back in time. Shizuka's alive. What's the plan?
名前は確か静香ちゃん僕は明日から一緒に学校に連れてってほしいピー
So, Takopi ventures off to school with Shizuka in hopes of figuring out what exactly is the source of her sadness. And to be fair, he does help out a lot. Gives her the answer to the homework, finishes her lunch, retrieves her lost notebook, yada yada yada. It's in this time that we actually meet one of her main school bullies that has been causing almost all of this, Blondie. Now, Blondie is probably the most annoying fuck-ass I have ever seen. Literally the type of person to get mad when you get the question right on some math work.
かっこ2が162正解
So Blondie gets particularly angry after all of her bullying is thwarted and decides to have a little talk with Shizuka. Now, Shizuka is actually just shitting her pants having been through this before, so Takopi offers to take her place with a new happiness gadget that allows you to turn into someone else. And honestly, this is one of the few gadgets which I really don't understand all too well. Like, what scenario outside of very nefarious acts would a gadget like this make someone happy? I don't know, maybe I'm just not in the know, like who on earth would I want to be other than me?
So, Takopi runs outside hoping to make amends with Blondie, except it doesn't quite go the way he expects it to. For the first time in all his life, Takopi feels terrified. In that very moment, it was no longer about wanting to make friends or even make up with Blondie. He just wanted to run away. Not once has he ever been hit or hit another. There was truly nothing he could do, not even fight back. At that point, both his words and himself meant nothing. We go back in time and arrive at the same moment once again. Only this time, Takopi doesn't offer to take Shizuka's place, even though if he hadn't helped her in school, none of this would have happened at all. He was a coward, and he knew he was. Why are people like this? Why would Blondie do that? How can someone like him help her when he's never dealt with such a scenario? In the end, it was all he could do to tell a teacher about what was going to happen outside. So I'm kind of zooming past some of the in-between parts because I'm trying to get to the main points of the story thus far, but I'm positive that I'm not leaving anything too substantial out, so just stick with me. Now, it's the night before Shizuka dies, and we're walking along with her, Chappie, and Takopi when, like the fucking hemorrhoid she is, Blondie pops up from behind some bushes and decides to beat the shit out of Shizuka again. Except this time, it was a calculated assault. Because being the goat that he is, Chappie defends Shizuka by attacking Blondie, but with a wicked smile, she calls for help in the midst of it all. I mean, goddamn, bro was thinking in 5D chess and got the dog arrested, which was why Shizuka didn't have him that day. Once again, Takopi tries fixing this by going back in time to change the route, day, and even time of day they go out with Chappie, but somehow she ends up finding them every single time. Challenger tier stalking straight up. Chappie just ends up getting taken away again and again until finally Takopi just realizes how futile it is to try and change the direction of an immovable object. This is when Takopi instead offers something new to Shizuka.
僕が絶対君を助けるって。君がずっとチャッピーと一緒に笑っていられるように。今回はダメでも何度も繰り返せばきっと方法があるはずだっけ。君がとても悲しいことをしなくていいように。だからどうか僕を信じて。
This works somewhat with Shizuka. I mean, at the very least, she doesn't try to off herself. Still, it pains her down to her very core. Only this time, Takopi actually realizes this. He even tries helping her feel better. Perhaps going to school will take things off her mind.
あはー、クソ犬管理不行き届き障害女じゃん。おはよう。
Are you loved by your parent?
ママのお話聞いてくれるよね。
Oh, okay. Well, you still don't need to be an asshat. On the way home from school, Blondie appears once again from the crevasses of the brush where she lives in her natural habitat. And with promises of Chappie, Shizuka obliges to come along. Immediately, Blondie parades about how Chappie is dead and how Shizuka can do nothing about it, how she is nothing, and starts beating on her as such. During this entire scene, Takopi didn't look away. He didn't run away, no. This time, he did what he really shouldn't have done.
勇気を出さなきゃ。静香ちゃん、今度こそ僕が助けるっぴー。
I know. It is very satisfying to see that walking sticky note dead, but this was never supposed to happen. This was never Takopi's goal, except it was.
ありがとう、タコピー。殺してくれて。
He had finally done it, had finally made her smile. As far as Takopi was concerned, that was the only thing in that moment that mattered. Takopi is no longer the naive being he was when he first came, and yet he didn't exactly become someone better either.